before I go in, because I'm beat, I am just not in the shape that I used to be in, but I'm going to get back there for sure. Well, I'll never get back into the shape I was in. However, I can be in better shape than I am in, and I know that for a fact. If the body is healthy, I just got to build it back up a little bit. So anyway, this tree that I'm about to show you, what used to be over there in that hole, and it was interfering with that tree that I cut off. I cut this tree down. This was a Japanese walnut or something. None of this growth was here. It was just a large stump that stood about 7-8 feet tall. I cut it off there. Boom, done. I even put a birdhouse up there, as you can see. It houses a number of birds. And it's actually a bird hotel. And I didn't expect for this to happen, but it's starting to grow. It's growing and it's producing chestnuts again. So I had another tree here, which was this one. And this tree was here. Well, I had to move it to there. Now normally you don't move trees in the middle of the summer. You wait. Well, I was kind of anxious. I wanted to get it done. So I dug around it. After I dug around it, I put a line around it, and with the backhoe I started to lift it out. Well, in doing so, without realizing, because I didn't put enough support, rags and things around it. Well, what happened was the rope totally stripped the bark from the tree. Probably, well, all the way around, first of all, and probably a good foot and a half. Well, got the tree buried, soaked the bejesus out of the roots. Now I'm thinking, okay, what do I do here? Because this is like an old family member here. And, you know, I really didn't want to see anything happen to it. So anyway, I called up a local florist or greenhouse, or whatever you want to call them, a garden center. And actually, I bought the trees from them. And I says to him, I says, I have a Cleveland pear. Now, it doesn't produce pears, by the way, but that's what they call it. And I told him the story. He says, well, the tree's going to die. He says a week, 2 weeks tops. It's just, you're gonna lose it. Forget about it. I said, there's no kind of a wrap or a medical wrap or some type of a wrap that I can put around the tree, you know, to help feed the nourishment. Because what happens is the nourishment comes up through the bark. And if you strip the bark, if you were to take a tree, a healthy tree, and cut like a 1.5, 2-inch girdle all the way around the tree and remove the bark, the tree is going to die. And I had about a 1.5-inch girdle around this missing bark. You're going to lose it. He said, there's nothing out there. Well, I'm not going to just give up on it like that. So I went inside and I got an ace bandage. Then we found about 90% of the bark that was on the tree. So we soaked the tree down, and I don't know if it helped or not, but I rubbed the bare portion of the tree before we put the bark back in place with plain yogurt. Now, I don't know if that helped or not. And then we took the bark that we had, all the strap bark, and we started placing it on the tree, you know, starting from the bottom, overlapping a little bit so that it was touching the bottom bark. And we gradually started wrapping it up and bringing the bark into play so that it made contact with the top bark. Then I took yogurt and coffee grounds and I smudged it all over the ace bandage. And what I did then was I took a hose and I tied it up in the tree. And I got this thing on mist, so when I turn it on up at the house, it'll give a nice little, well, a strong little mist. It goes up about 2.5, 3 feet, and then it comes down and waters the bark, waters the roots, and we let it run for 15 minutes or so a day. And I come out here every now and then and I'll smudge more coffee grounds on it and more yogurt on it. And I just took all the grass clippings that was in the bottom of the deck that gets stuck up underneath in the mower deck, in the mowing deck, and I caked that around there and put that up and down inside the ace bandages as well. Well, it's been well over 3 weeks and our tree is doing fine. The first couple days it lost a few leaves, but other than that, the top of the tree is good. The top of the tree is going to be one of the first to go, and the rest of the tree is doing fine. It's even getting little berries on it, so it's still getting nutrients. So I can only assume that it's coming from the ace bandage, the bark that we've kind of placed back in there, and all the nourishments that I've been sticking in there, like this stuff here. See right there, that little bark spot? Well, I just take this and I just keep doing this, and I just keep putting it in there. Alright, now this is all grass clippings that's kind of like just got caught up inside the belly deck. If you turn the deck over, you always have all that crap in there, and that's what all this is. So that's what I've been doing, and it seems to have been doing okay. Alright, so hopefully it'll take. Like I said, it's like an old friend, you don't want to let it go. So far so good. None of the leaves are actually turning in. They're not turning over. The leaves are still doing good. And if you look, there's little berries right there that are coming out. Like I said, we lost a few leaves. But I think that was just a shock of us moving it more than the actual loss of the bark. And we make sure that the root system is watered very, very well. Extremely well. So it's getting way down inside. So I had to sprinkle around for a few minutes. I'm going to go put it on again and leave it on for a half an hour or so. But I just wanted you to know that it seemed to have worked. So if you guys ever have a problem like that and you really like the tree, you may not want to give up on it. If you can get something in there to help get those nutrients by that girdle or that loss of bark around it, it'll do what it has to do, hopefully. So that's it.